stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, Bridge, I'm here.
Roll call. Trustee McOwen.
Here, present.
Trustee Miller. Good. Trustee White.
Present.
Trustee Name.
Present.
Trustee Jaros.
Here.
Trustee Saunders.
Here.
Trustee Zamora.
Present.
Quorum is present.
All right, at this moment, I guess I'd like to entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
Motion.
The purposes for executive session. To discuss collective bargaining negotiations between the district and the Mount Vernon Federation of Teachers, the employment history of a particular person or persons, and a special education matter.
All right, so motion.
Motion. Second.
First
All those
motion,
in-
first motion by White, second motion by Trustee Owen.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. We now adjourn to executive session.
Approximate, 1 hour? 1 hour. All right.
Great job.
Meeting.
Motion by
Oh,
trustee.
that was it?
I'll second, yeah, you just.
No, I was entertaining a motion, so that was a motion by Trustee McBell and a second by Trustee McGowan. All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained.
Yep.
Next item on the agenda is acceptance of minutes. There are no minutes to accept at this meeting, so we can move on to communications from the public. As the Board of Education is responsible for decision-making that affects the entire school district, and welcomes sentiments from the public to assist in making decisions in an equitable manner.
Okay. What is the second for here? This the one you were just reading? Oh, yeah, it's a little different from what it usually is.
Is it members of the
Back in February. Yes, that's right.
All right, let's try this again. Members from the public, including the press, are welcome to attend all meetings of the Board of Education, subject to any limitations under applicable law. There is no legal requirement to recognize public comment at meetings of the Board of Education. However, the Board of Education recognizes the critical importance of community disclosure and involvement in the education of Mount Vernon's children, and accordingly, members of the public are invited to speak at each regularly scheduled board meeting, subject to the terms of board policy. Any resident of Mount Vernon or any student, parent, or guardian of a student, teacher, administrator, or employee of the Mount Vernon City School District are permitted to speak. No other person shall be permitted to speak without the approval of the board. A speaker must register in advance by no later than 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting by contacting the district clerk in person at 165 North Columbus Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York, or by phone at 914-665-5235, or by email at rmccormick@mtvernoncsd.org. When registering, speakers are requested to indicate the nature of their remarks. The board welcomes all respectful comment, whether praise or criticism. However, identifying and criticizing a specific student, parent, teacher, administrator, or other Mount Vernon education official or employee is strictly prohibited. Any such complaint must be presented and addressed through the proper administrative channels. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak. Up to 1 additional minute may be used for the speaker to summarize and conclude their remarks. If appropriate, board trustees and/or superintendent may immediately respond to a speaker's remarks. In no event shall public comment exceed 30 minutes total at one meeting unless the Board of Trustees in attendance consent to granting additional time. Public,
I think you can stop. You don't
Okay.
read.
Okay.
there's only one speaker signed up for tonight, and that is Brenda Crum.
Scrum? Yep, 4.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Because I know my time is limited, I will jump right in and speak kind of fast, I guess. I am speaking tonight on the resolution 10.1, authorization to close out aged accounts receivables. And that resolution reads, invoice number 918, renter, City of Mount Vernon, invoice date 3/16/2016, amount of the invoice $9,012.95, balance owed $9,012.95. The next piece on that same resolution lists invoice number 924, City of Mount Vernon, invoice date 4/15/2016, the amount $1,502.98, balance owed $1,502.98. I am asking the board if you will please define for the community aged accounts receivables. Billings, please define what that is. Will you also please define close out? Also, I would like to know if the school district has billed the City of Mount Vernon. Was a bill sent to the City of Mount Vernon for these 2 charges? Right up front, I want to speak about transparency being deceptive and misleading. This resolution states City of Mount Vernon. That's being voted on today. The actual resolution itself says reserved by Honorable Richard Thomas, the mayor, City of Mount Vernon. However, this is not a city event. This was not approved city expenditure, city event. The city was not requesting the use of the school building. And the same thing for the other part of this resolution, the one that's $1,502.98, which says reserved by, the resolution reads, Mayor Richard Thomas, City Hall, 1 Roosevelt Square, Mount Vernon, and this is for the State of the City address. Forgive me if I didn't say what the first one was for, the mayoral inauguration, swearing in. Neither one of these were for the city. These are not city. The city was not requesting this. Also, in reference to the mayor inauguration, the swearing in, it's generally mayors have that at somebody's church or some other type of facility, which is paid out of campaign funds, I'm understanding, not dollars from children, tutorial services, children books, supplies, materials that they need. Also, in reference to the mayor's state of the city, that is paid for by the city, held at the city, presented before the city council, before the public, and not dollars taken away from the children. Because at the end of the day, any money that's taken away from the children, that's exactly what it is. As a district, we do not have enough money to provide tutorial services to all of our children who are in need of tutorial services. We have our administrators in our buildings who come to the budget rounds, and they ask for different things to meet the needs of their building, to meet the needs of children, and they are not granted all of their requests. But yet the school district is prepared to vote on a resolution to give the city $10,515.93 of the children's monies.
Your time has expired, Ms. Crum.
Actually,
Well,
you
how-
have- you
how do
have-
I know I get
you have-
3 minutes and
you
then
have-
one more?
It's 3.5. You have an additional, we'll give you an additional minute right now to wrap up.
Oh, thank you. So with that said, I want to put on the record that, once again, please answer these questions, and that I would like to know if the district has billed the city, what did the city say? And I want to put on record that I came to the Assistant Superintendent of Business office yesterday, and I asked for a copy of the invoice billing for the open receivables account. And so then today I see on the resolution, on the agenda, these two items. I also want to state that on the accounts receivable list is that there are in total of 17 items. 5 of those are for tuitions, and then there's only one that's dated for June 30th of 2015. The rest of them are for this year. Under the general funds, which were the city, the mayor's request to use the school building facilities, there are 11, and those are totaling $28,478.31 that's owed to the school district, and $10,515.93 of that money is from the mayor, Richard Thomas, and in total, then there's one miscellaneous that's listed here, and that one is owed to the district $10,184.01. So in totality, the monies that is owed to the school district, $1,336,062.52.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before anyone responds, can I just ask a follow-up question? I don't understand where you're reading from. Can you just show us, or?
Sure, I have copies,
What
but
are
I
you
just
reading
didn't want to
from?
have time. I'll give you copies. What I am reading from, the cover page that I'm reading from is the resolution that's on today's agenda.
That I obviously.
Then
have,
the
I
next
understand,
one that I'm reading from, I'm not sure if you was here at the last meeting,
Yeah.
which was what,
Yes.
July 6th?
right? Yes.
When I gave each of the board member and the community the open receivables account list, because when I asked at a board meeting what were the numbers, I was told that there was 3, there's a total of 17 that are owed. And also what I'm reading from is the resolutions that the board passed on February 24th of 2016. The board passed a resolution for $9,512.95. At the bottom of that resolution, it read fee waived, no. And also this resolution was pulled from the consent agenda. There was some discussion, it is assumed by the board members, because I don't know, that discussion took place before the public, but it was pulled from the agenda. And please, if you will define for the public, when resolutions are pulled from the consent agenda, what does that mean and what generally happens? The other resolution document that I was reading from is dated March 16th of 2016, and that one is space reserved by Mayor Richard Thomas for the state of the city. And as I stipulated that the state of the city, well, that's the answer to your question.
Yes, thank you.
So these are the documents that I am reading from. I do have copies of these documents for the board, but all of these are coming from the school district and the open receivables account I did present to the board last meeting.
Thank you very much, and I would like to answer some of the points, the statements that you made, and some of the questions you asked.
And one last thing, if I may we hear from the community, hear from each of the board members, because we did hear at
Actually,
length from
know
you,
what,
trustee
Mrs.
Zamora, last
Crum,
meeting.
You no longer have the floor. I
Thank
will
you.
take it to your last point made. Number one,
Is this on? Can y'all hear me?
yes, we can hear you very well.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Number one, when the mayor of the city of Mount Vernon makes a request, as long as the request is made properly via the methods that we requested in, he is acting at the capacity of the city, and therefore he represents the city of Mount Vernon. The state of the city address and the mayoral inauguration were not personal events. Those the school district recognized as events of the city of Mount Vernon, whether or not they went through the city council, whatever means and methods that happens within the city is their business, not ours. Number two, in terms of the exchange of services that we have with the city of Mount Vernon, it was agreed by this board that we are well ahead of the city in terms of the garbage removal services, waste management, and also free water. That the business office feels that we are in an advantageous position versus not. So therefore, the resolution 10.1 tonight is to address that. It's the board basically acknowledging that this was a service of the city, it was a reciprocal service, an exchange of service, and therefore that fee will be voided. And I believe the last point you made in terms of the amount owed. The business superintendent explained during the last meeting, I recall, exactly the details of that, and that those were not owed by the mayor. Those were actually other invoices for exchange, not exchange, those for fees due to other school districts, something like that. So I believe that was already explained to you, and therefore I consider that matter closed. Thank you. Next.
Can I add something?
Sure,
May I,
please.
you didn't ask, may I repeat my question?
No,
I
you
did
may
ask
not. I believe
questions.
we've heard it.
Well, she also asked about definitions of closed
Thank you.
accounts and receivables and
Sure.
things like that. I think maybe you have a separate discussion with Mr. Silver about that, but as far as I understand, it's a pretty generic terminology. I mean, I'm in the business world, I'm used to hearing those
Well, the
terms.
community is not, I'm asking for the
Sure,
community.
well, fair enough,
It's
fair
on
enough.
the
So,
resolution.
I mean, do you want to say what is an accounts receivable?
I'm
Well,
gonna,
my
Ms.
aged
Crump is
accounts
coming in,
receivable.
Or aged accounts?
Ms. Crump is coming in to see me shortly regarding the things she just asked about yesterday, and so I'll discuss that with her.
But just,
When I
just
have
so,
those
I guess
things.
for my benefit then, for aged accounts, does the district consider age account 30 days over, 90 days over?
Well,
What is it?
60 to 90 days,
60
but
to-
most of the money, as I described last time, is for receivables due from other school districts for foster care and for nursing services.
Right.
And so that's about $1.2 million out of this whole thing. And then there's some money that's due us that hasn't been paid. One thing is 18 years old, which I explained
Sure.
last time. And when Ms. Crump did ask for this originally, there were 3 items on the list. And most of those items are from 2016. And we are monitoring them, and I'm going to be giving her copies of the invoices that she has requested.
Sure. Are our microphones on? I can't tell. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All right.
The next item on the agenda is reports from the
Thank you.
superintendent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have 2 items I'd like to share. One is to continue to ask the board and the public to indulge us as our schools are undergoing considerable rehabilitation. We are going to experience some growing pains, and this is likely to be our plight for the next few summers. But in the end, it will prove to be very worthwhile. So I just wanted to say that publicly because some folks will probably be inconvenienced for the next few summers as we prepare our district consistent with the 2020 vision and the 2016 bond. And secondly, I'd like to publicly extend he is present this evening, my congratulations to Mr. Ernest Gregg, who has rendered his retirement from Mount Vernon City School District, and I'd like to wish him a happy, healthy retirement. That concludes the superintendent's report.
Next item on the agenda is reports of the board president.
I don't have any reports. However, I'd like to make a statement that very pleased with the way the district is progressing with the overall 2020 vision. Plans are underway. I want to also express the fact that one thing that we noticed when we put the bond together and we described all of the elements of the bond, that it was a sort of like it was in generalities in terms of, you know, the larger picture of things that we wanted to address, but now that we're getting into it, we're seeing exactly all the details of what we have to do. The scope is much larger than we ever anticipated, and there are things that come up that have to be addressed, emergency situations that we didn't account for. So as we go through this, I would ask for everyone's patience in terms of how the projects proceed, but also we are going to be displaying project boards at all the schools that will explain all the work that's being done. And when those projects are displayed, those are generally the projects that we all feel pretty confident that will move forward, and that some items from the original list may be substituted. That is all.
Mr. President, can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
Thank you for that. And really, it's, I guess, for the superintendent, when we started the bond, right, weren't there groups organized by building with the principal and certain administrators and certain, maybe some students, I don't remember, kind of, who developed wish lists and things like that,
That's, yes.
right? And are those organizations still in place? Is the intent as the bond progresses and as things are installed and design choices are made, is there any kind of, you know, feedback to that building's specific people in terms of that process? I'm just curious how it's working like day to day.
No, that was not the intent of that committee when they were created at the building level. So that protocol has not been established.
And is it kind of just, are principals the one primarily kept in the loop, kind of
Absolutely.
developments at that building?
Absolutely.
So when parents have questions about certain developments at a building, they go to the principal generally?
That is correct.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, in terms of progress, in terms of exactly what is happening currently as we progress, I will be working personally with our committee along with Mr. Silva and Felicio and the architect, Lubicia, to put together some reports as he reports the progress to keep the board and the public informed.
Yeah, no, and Lubisha's reports are great. I'm glad we're doing those. I'm glad we're doing them regularly. That's very
Fantastic.
good.
All right, 5.2.
The first item is 5.1, opportunity to move for board members to move an item from the consent agenda. I will note for the board that items marked in the 14 section, 14.1, accepting a donation, 14.2, accepting a donation, and 14.3, adopting a meeting schedule have already been removed from the consent agenda. Also for the board's notification, since the meeting was originally released on Friday, Resolution 9.1 was revised. Resolution 9.18 was added.
Revised how?
Revised how? It was an additional retiree.
And who?
That's Ernest Gregg.
Thank you.
9.18 was added to the agenda. That's to send an employee for 9/13 evaluation. 9.19, which concerns the termination of employee, was also added to the agenda. And Resolution 12.1 concerning a settlement agreement was also added to the agenda. Is it the board's desire to remove any of the consent items from the agenda at this point?
All good? Good. All right, so at that point, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. We have a motion? Second?
Second.
We have trustee Miller, trustee White.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Trustee Giroux, did you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. All the motions pass. Now we move on to the items that were pulled from consent. The first item is 14.1, accept donation from Daniel Aronson for the Rebecca Marie Aronson Scholarship Fund. Discussion?
Anyone? No, I believe we're fine with that, so.
Who pulled it?
Well, I think it gets,
We wanted to begin, as we receive donations, we wanted to separate them from the agenda so that we could acknowledge them individually.
correct.
I see.
Yes,
Okay.
I did mention that.
No problem.
So would you like to say a word about that?
No.
No? Thank you for the money.
What I would say is, while I don't know the Everson family personally, I did get an opportunity to meet the, I believe it was the brother of the young lady who passed away and who the scholarship is in the place of. And what this family is doing in this community is tremendous. I had an opportunity to attend the senior graduation awards, and if I'm correct, they gave out $50,000 in scholarships to our students here in Mount Vernon. So I think this family should definitely be recognized and commended for the support of this community. So just for a record for this board, that this family, like I said, I don't know them personally, but to see how they're supporting Mount Vernon, still supporting Mount Vernon, is a great support for this community.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I guess the spirit of pulling it in the consent agenda so we can have discussion on that, and your remarks, Trustee McDowell, are appreciated, and also the donations from this family are recognized.
In the action, it says $3,000, $3,500 for first place, while in the abstract it says $2,500. So it needs to be, yes. So it adds up to $5,000.
It's broken down in the abstract into the two different awards, one for $2,500 and the other for the remainder.
So the question is it a reconciliation issue in terms of the abstract saying one thing and you're reading another?
Well, it's $5,000, so the abstract says 4,000. But if you add the first two, what happened to the other 1,000? So it should be 3,500 first place, 1,500 second place, right?
Well, that's the recommendation.
My understanding is that a portion of this has already been awarded, and this is to make it whole to the $5,000.
Okay. All right. And just for the record, the superintendent had another engagement and had to leave, and the business superintendent, Mr. Ken Silver, is taking his place in his absence.
Right, so this resolution, trustee Ning, is only to accept the $2,187.63. My understanding is that the board has already accepted the other portion of the donation previously.
Okay.
Very well.
That's fine.
Do we need to accept these individually, or should we?
Yes.
Individually? Okay.
I move to vote on 14.1.
Second? Okay, there you go, trustee Miller.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes.
I move on 14.2.
Second.
Second.
You have to read it into on the records.
Oh, that's correct. Good call.
Read 14.2.
When you pull
Oh, right.
an issue from the consent agenda, you have to read the resolution.
14.2 is to accept the donation from Westchester Medical Center for the Mount Vernon High School.
Motion, trustee Owen,
Yeah.
Second.
trustee Saunders.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Item 14.3, adopt the 2016-17 Board of Education meeting schedule.
All right, I'll entertain a discussion on this. This item was pulled from the last agenda at the last meeting. We had a vote on it. The vote was a tie. So now it is brought up again we can have a discussion on this if anyone wishes to make a comment, and then we will go for a roll call vote.
I wish to make a comment.
Sure.
When I first was elected to the board a year ago, we discussed the schedule at various times, mostly in our retreat and in several executive sessions, I recall. And we came up with the current schedule as a direct result of our president's schedule. Because I recall you saying, Mr. Zamora, that when you got elected, knowing you were already on the planning board, that you said you would miss half the meetings if we kept the schedule the way it was. And so we all got together and various people made, accommodations, and we came up with a schedule that not everyone was happy with, but it worked. And I don't understand why we would change that, change what has worked and what various people are compromising to make as a result of, frankly, any public comment. And to be clear, I don't have an objection to Tuesday night meetings. It's actually more convenient for me. But I think very firmly that a decision as to when we hold regularly scheduled meetings is such a fundamental decision, is of such a primary importance, that it should be unanimous. And if any single one of the 9 of us have a problem with a regular scheduled meeting, I will vote no. And the reason is, if we do anything else, if a majority of this board attempts to impose a schedule of meetings, knowing in advance that that will prejudice any one of us' ability to regularly attend, I think that's a problem. I think that's disenfranchising one of us, and I don't think that's right. Now, to be fair, I totally understand. Sometimes we need emergency meetings, and those happen. We have irregularly scheduled meetings, and not all of us can make them, and we just try and get a quorum, and we can make it work. But I said this last meeting, I will say it again, that it is a requirement of law that we have the superintendent or his designees, and we have a quorum of this board attend. That is the requirement, and we should have a policy or schedule in place that accommodates that. And I don't think, it would be awesome if all of us could agree on a schedule that doesn't conflict with anybody's personal life and anybody's professional life, and any personal or professional commitments from any member of the city of Mount Vernon. We will never have that. That will never happen. So we're all going to compromise something to get a schedule together. And we could do Thursday night. We could do Friday night, although not everyone would be happy with that, right? There's a variety of things we could do, and I just want to go on the record saying that our regularly scheduled meetings should be a unanimous decision. That's what I want to say.
Thank you very much. Well said. Any other discussions?
Absolutely. Just to add to what Trustee Michael said, another thing that was noted at the last board meeting, I'm not going to discuss what I discussed last week, but that was noted at the last board meeting was one of the reasons we wanted to move these meetings was to allow the community and trustees as well to attend city council meetings. And it has come to my attention that none of our meetings conflict with city council meetings. City council meetings meet second Wednesday and last Wednesday, and we are projecting, and we currently meet first Tuesdays and third Wednesdays, which are not in conflict with the city council meetings, so that affords each and every one of us, as well as the community, to attend these particular meetings. So I think along with that, and along with what Trustee Michael just noted, I think that's in this board's best interest to maintain the schedule that we've been meeting on as a benefit to this board, and to continue consistency and continuity with the community.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's even better. There's no conflict.
Any other?
Well, I would just like to agree that I do think it is very important that we make accommodations for all 9 of us, not just for a few. I know we all make sacrifices to be at the meetings, be as many as possible. But I really do think that we should, as we did in the last go-around when we settled on the Tuesday, Wednesday schedule, I really believe that everyone was in agreement on that, and we'd all, it worked, and we've never failed to be able to hold a meeting, so I just don't understand why we need to change it again, and really would recommend that we leave it as it is. Thank you.
All right. On that, going back to Trustee McGowan's remarks regarding changing the meetings from all Wednesdays to only one Wednesday because of my schedule on the planning board. Just want to comment that my service on the planning board is of service to the city of Mount Vernon. My service on the school board here is of service to the citizens of Mount Vernon. So therefore, in terms of any personal conflict of schedule, it is not just a commitment that I make, that I put my personal life aside, and that I'm serving the people of Mount Vernon. Therefore, I believe that, in order to not only serve the public and the citizens of Mount Vernon, but also for the citizens of Mount Vernon to have an opportunity to attend all meetings, city council, land use boards, that are all held on Wednesdays, I believe that an accommodation for the school to move their meetings to a Tuesday is not asking too much. And basically that is my comment.
So what is the conflict? Is Trustee McDowell right that there's no conflict with city council meetings anyway?
Well, city council, no, but there is actually other land use board meetings that it would conflict. Basically, okay, so planning board, I believe, is the first Wednesday. Architectural review board is the second Wednesday. I believe city council might be the third Wednesday. I don't know all the schedules by heart, but you can look into it. But Wednesdays are the days that the city schedules all of their meetings. Okay, so it would be only beneficial to the public, again, and not a personal schedule, because I have no personal conflicts. But for the public good, and we've had a couple comments by the public in terms of moving the meetings to Tuesdays. And so, again, we've never had, or I've never heard of a discussion by the public in terms of supporting the meetings being Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I believe in terms of consistency, we should have one day. And if that one day is, in a vote tonight, it happens to be Tuesdays, then so it is. All right, that's
just to add to that there are other city meetings on Tuesdays as well. So if we're trying to accommodate the meetings that take place, we'll never accommodate it because there's other committee meetings, and a lot of them are committee meetings
I'm
that
not-
take place
I'm
on
not
two places.
seeking
Well,
you.
I'm just making a correlation because we're trying to accommodate one specific fashion of this community. We're never gonna accommodate everything.
Correct, and I was
So-
speaking more of public meetings, not committee meetings. Obviously, committee meetings happen all days of the week.
Right, and you have, various nonprofit groups in the city that meet on school nights. You got PTA meetings that we're gonna conflict with. They're never gonna, I reiterate what I said, that the 9 of us, if any one, I don't care who it is, if any one of the 9 of us advises us that any schedule that we propose will pose a regular, consistent conflict, whether it's personal, professional, whether their spouse has chemo that night,
I
whether they have
understand.
their kids in scouts that night,
Gotcha.
whether they work that night, whatever. I don't care what it is. I don't think that's right.
I understand, and I've heard your point, and you've made it twice. I agree, and
And I would
now,
ask the other trustees to take that into consideration as well.
yes, and your comment is heard. All right, that said, I'd like to take a roll call vote. Cliff, you start.
I'm sorry.
This is, actually, we're gonna take a motion first, and I will make the motion. I'd move to adopt the 2016-17 Board of Education meeting schedule on Tuesdays. Do I have a second?
Second.
That's trustee Ning. Roll call. Trustee Jaros,
Yes.
trustee White,
Yes.
trustee Saunders,
Yeah.
and I already said yes. Trustee Miller,
No.
trustee McCohen, and trustee McDowell. All right. The motion passes. Next is going to be,
Next item is 15.1, committee reports.
okay, let's start with Wellness Committee. Trustee Jaros, anything for us?
I've been on vacation, no meetings.
All right, very well. Thank you. Trustee White,
No, we haven't had a meeting. We'll have one later on this month.
and that is curriculum and instruction.
Yes.
And that is trustee Ning as well. Trustee Saunders,
I have no updates to give you right now.
no updates. All right. Trustee McDowell, budget.
No reports at this time.
Trustee McGowan, policy.
No report at this time, other than to mention that we did have just a brief conversation with administration regarding and with the Buildings and Grounds Committee regarding, sorry, I'm blanking, the change order, thank you, the change order policy, which is in the works. Some of the parameters have been discussed, and we're waiting on administration to provide an actual draft. And Cliff here has, actually may have some sample policies, which will be very helpful in kind of laying the outlines of what that will be.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Miller, on community
Yeah,
engagement.
Family and Community Engagement met July 16th here at Holmes at 6 p.m. The attendees were myself, Trustee McDowell, Rick McCormick, Brenda Crump, Angie McNeil, Melanie McMullen, Jeff Monroe, and Tashi Campbell-Keller. Committee member McGowan was unable to attend. I did send all these minutes to Rick McCormick, who said he was gonna post them in the committee area on the website, but I couldn't find where that area is, so I don't know if the area doesn't exist yet, it's part of the new site, yeah.
That's correct.
Anyway, but it was a good motivator to get it done. The first part of the meeting we spent discussing the back-to-school event on September 10th. We refined a list of activities for 2 vendors and expect to see more specific quotes this week. So these are vendors who are can supply bouncy castles and things like that. We reviewed logos that were created for the event, and we are asking for those to be refined. We're receiving financial commitments. The educators and the phys ed teachers in the group came up with some excellent team building and mental challenge activities for the attendees to ensure that we address all 3 themes of the event. And the team's going to reach out to schools and athletic directors to see if there are things that we need for the relay races that they can provide, but that's not having to go out and buy them or rent them. The second part of the meeting focused on our grassroots communication plan for the district. We're continuing to work on our conduits. we've agreed that once the plan is finalized with Focus, this community outreach communications plan, which will be finalized in August, that we will have a meeting to explain the plan to the public. So there was a strong desire on the part of committee members to make sure that we tell the public how we are going to communicate with them. Not just to communicate with them, but tell them how we're going to do it. And the next meeting will be held July 27th at 8:30 in the morning, right here.
Just something that you said, Trustee Miller, about posting minute notes. I just wanted to say publicly that that is something that's been brought up by Mrs. Crump and others in past comment, and it's something we are keenly aware of, that we need to do a better job of getting minutes of the meetings, getting them public, and finding other ways to encourage members of the public. I'm so glad to be here. I couldn't make it, but I'm so glad to hear so many members of the public did come to the last phase committee meetings. That's great. And we need more of that, but we are looking at that and making sure we're more timely about posting minutes and getting
Sure.
minutes.
Yeah, well, I have seen the framework for the minutes to be posted onto the website. Rick shared those with me, so all the committee members heads could email him the minutes after your meeting, and he will post it to the website. So right now, I believe the fact that he's on vacation right now is the only reason it hasn't happened, even though we don't have all the committee reports, but whatever reports we do have, he'll funnel that into the system. So that's going to be great. Trustee Miller, I wanted to address something directly to you regarding your subcommittee, regarding dress codes, non-uniform dress codes. So there was a little altercation I witnessed at the high school when one of the students came in dressed inappropriately. Actually, I've witnessed this maybe on a few occasions within the past 2 weeks, where a student was inappropriately dressed and they were refused entry by the security, and they, had an altercation and words were exchanged. Do we have a way to communicate the dress code, non-uniform, to parents now? What have we been doing in terms of advising parents regarding their children when they come to school, how to adhere to the policy, to the dress code policy that we have, and is there a better way to communicate that to them? So part one is, do we have a way of communicating that we use currently? And if not, maybe we should implement one. And if we do, is there a way to better communicate it so that their children do not come to school inappropriately and then have to be turned away at the gates?
I believe, I think members of the administration could correct me on this, but I believe that we do send code of conduct and dress code home to the students every year, again, when school begins. So we do that regular communication. That being said, I think given the new website and given our new communications policy, we can communicate it in multiple different ways in case there's and then also, perhaps what the consequences will be if you're dressed completely inappropriately. So that's not a problem. We can do that. We have dress code, an area for dress code right on the website.
Right, because I know at the door at the high school I've seen signs and tutorials and everything that mentions how to dress, how not to dress. And apparently that is not 100% effective, so maybe that could be communicated more often at community and parent engagement sessions, meetings, PTA. I'm not sure how we can disseminate that information, but it happens so often. Well, like I said, within 2 weeks, I personally experienced it at least 3 times.
This is in schools out, or with schools?
Yeah, this is actually summer school, and I'm imagining a little bit more during summer because they're wearing a little bit.
No air conditioning.
Yeah.
Well, what I would.
I grew up in Florida, let me tell you.
I would actually look into our liability because I've seen it not only done at the high schools, but I also seen it done at the junior high schools. And I think we will incur some type of liability if a parent drops their child off to the building and drive off, go to work, and then somebody standing out in front of the building and say, oh, you're dressed inappropriately, you gotta go home and change, and something happens to that child. What type of liability do we have if a parent dropped that kid off and is expecting that their child in school? So if you can get back to us, and I guess we as a policy could try to draft something up to close that gap.
It's a very good point, and maybe the remedy may be something like taking the child in, but maybe they have to stay in sort of like a detention, a room.
I'll always suggest, you don't want detention because then the child misses.
Well, not detention,
I
yeah.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
What I always suggest is that if in that case, maybe some type of sweatpants, that we would be able to offer, you know, generic sweatpants or something like that, depending on what the child is wearing, a sweatshirt, I don't know, but maybe some clearance from.
I know at one time the policy was that, the child went into the office and the principal or whoever's in charge would call the parent and to ask the parent to bring them some clothing.
Okay, that could be a remedy, better than turning them away at the door.
Yeah, instead, yeah, you had to bring them into the office.
But I think we definitely have to stop turning away.
Okay. You know what, that's a very good suggestion. And so what do we do from here and how do we carry forward?
Who gave the security guard authorization?
Who gives security authorization? Mr. Felicio, could you shed a little light on that,
Who enforces the dress code?
Okay. You want to deal with that? Okay. So, Mr. Silver will speak to the superintendent about it, and they will get back to the board about it. Will we receive something in an email by week's end? So not until the next board meeting, so we can see if we can implement this immediately? All right, beautiful. All right, that sounds good. And regarding buildings and ground, things are progressing quite nicely. I know that Lubisha steals my thunder now, and I also don't want to take a lot of the items away from him and his report so that he does have something to present. We know that, thank you. We know that my earlier remarks about, tweaking out what exactly is being done with the bond. There's a lot of coordination going on with the EPC projects, and that the high school is coming along really beautifully in terms of the gymnasium. We approved the resolution last session to move forward with the 2 bathrooms, so that work will be starting shortly. In terms of restructuring, I know we have a delegation going up to Albany, I believe next week, to talk about the enrollment numbers and get approval from the state in terms of our restructuring plans, and also the addition over at Pennington. And is there anything else that affects the meeting next week at SCD?
It would be our maximum cost allowance for each building.
For each building, correct. And that speaks to how much dollars are allowed to be spent per school building by the district within a 5-year period. That's the MCA. All right, very good.
I hope everyone saw the front page article on the gym in the sports section of the Journal News this weekend. It was really great coverage once again.
Yes, it was.
It was a very exciting article.
Could you speak to that a little bit in terms of what it covered?
Well, it was just, it was a picture of a guy who I guess was sanding the new floor.
Okay.
And it wrote about how, it quoted Bobby Semino and Gonzalez, and it made it very clear that this was not the bond money, that this was Excel money, but it really talked about, how this is going to be a shining showcase for athletics for the district and for, other districts that come in and compete with us. So I think it was a really positive piece, and I just love reading these great pieces about Mount Vernon.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Actually, I saw Coach Sabino. He was so happy and so excited about his gym. And to that point, just want to say that all the improvements that we've been making academically and in our facilities, it speaks to this board and the administration in terms of the new direction that this district is going. It shows that we care about our students, we care about our community, we care about our schools, and the environment that we create here. And as even administrators and teachers and the rest of the staff, from cleaners to groundskeepers, as they see our excitement and also our willingness to put the dollars, our money where our mouth, our money where our mouth is, they also in turn get excited, and great things happen. I hear it all the day. I hear it every day. I hear it from all over, and it continues to excite me as it does others in the community. So that's really positive, and I'm really happy to see that this is happening right before us. All right.
The next item on the agenda is unfinished business.
Okay, unfinished business. You know, we have a couple of things that we mentioned last time. I know sometimes when we mention things at meetings and then we kind of forget about it, so I'm going to start keeping notes and keep moving them forward to the next meeting under unfinished business so that we make sure we don't forget about them. One of the things that we talked about was attendance in the schools in terms of how do we know, how do we keep track of students, not only when they first enter the school that they're in attendance, but at each class, right? And I know that we spoke about perhaps there's a attendance program that every teacher has to enter the children, the enrollment per class, and that information gets fed to the district so that we know exactly that each student has attended all of their classes, and if they're cutting classes, that the district knows and can act swiftly in terms of coming up with a solution to deal with that. So who can speak to that? I know that Dr. Gorman is not here tonight, but that is something that maybe Dr. Bennett Conroy can relay and come up with some type of statement at our next meeting.
I discussed it with superintendent.
Yes? Okay, fantastic.
I seem to recall, didn't Dr. Hamilton say he would put it in like the next report, superintendent report?
Right, so I haven't
don't
seen
think it
anything.
happened, so we just need to remind Dr. Hamilton to put it in the next report.
Okay, all right,
And
great.
it's confidential. I thought that's what he said he was gonna do. I don't know.
Okay, all right. Okay, you got it? Okay, fantastic. Just want to bring that up. And also, you know, when I first came on the board, we had the superintendent's 5-year plan, academic goals. And what I'd like to do, or I'd like to see perhaps, is maybe a review of that, maybe, you know, every 6 months or twice a year or on some type of regular basis so that we keep track of what's going on and the improvements that we've made. So maybe we can discuss with the superintendent in terms of what periods he would like, because maybe there's certain things that fall with, you know, maybe he has to get the results first and he can't do it earlier than a particular time. So maybe we should follow up with that with him and see if we can get a biannual report. It could, even if it's through the confidential, you know, somehow. Semi-annual. Well, biannual.
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months. Semi-annual. Okay. All right.
Not every 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's that, and Mr. Silver, you got that as well. All right. Fantastic. We're on to the next.
New business. Item 17.1.
A new business? I don't believe so. Okay.
Alaska.
Hold on. It was a little slow. It's his first time. He's been doing very well.
Motion by Trustee McOwen, seconded by Darcy Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain. Meeting is concluded.
Thank you so much.